Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. Welcome back, everybody. I'm here today sitting down with Jules Peláez from justjulesnutrition.com. Jules has been with us before. She's a mind-body nutrition coach who chatted about detoxification of the body on our last episode, but today she's here for a two-part series, starting off with how do we navigate the holiday mayhem, all the extra delicious goodness that's going to flood our household over the next couple of months, and how we can do that and indulge wisely. Jules will give us all the tips and ways to look at it more broadly than worrying about the next piece of chocolate you're going to put into your mouth. I will link all of Jules's information in the show notes for you, and stay tuned for next week as we talk about the midlife crisis. Can that crisis really be an opportunity for spiritual transformation? I hope you enjoy our chat today, and I'll see you next week. All right. Hello, Jules. I'm so excited you're back joining us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, my friend. It's good to be here.
Well, for those of you that didn't listen to our last chat, Jules was on several months ago discussing detoxing your body, the things that most people don't want to talk about, right? The elimination process. We're so focused on what we're shoving into the mouth and the supplements and all the stuff we think we need, and what nobody's talking about is it coming out. So if you haven't listened to that show, go back and listen to it. It's really helpful, and it might be very helpful for what we're going to discuss today, which is indulging wisely during the holiday mayhem. So Jules, can we indulge this holiday season?
Well, we will, regardless.
Exactly.
There's a study that says, we're recording this right before Halloween, and there's a study in the New England Journal of Medicine that says that most people in the US are at their lowest weight right now. And we just spend basically the next 6 weeks gaining that weight. And then come January, we'll spend the next, 6 months trying to lose those holiday pounds that we put on. So yes, I think we can indulge, but we want to indulge wisely for sure.
That's so funny you say that, because I used to work in health clubs when I was younger, and the amount of people that come flooding into the gym on January 2nd is astonishing. And I always watch it'd be about a 30-day, crazy, it's packed, and then it starts to trickle off. Very few people make it a consistent thing in their life. So
yeah, and the intention is there,
Yeah.
I think that's, we're all super conditioned in certain regard that January 1st, we're going to start fresh and it's going to be different this year. And I mean, from owning the yoga studio, it was like a lot of the regulars, it's kind of like, the people who don't go to church except on Christmas, the regulars are just like, all right, yeah, we're going to make room for you. But we know my parking spot will be back, in a few weeks, I'll get my parking spot back.
Right. When you were on last time, you said something that was interesting to me. You said you remember as a small child having, I think it was Thanksgiving, and say if I think it was that holiday, but Thanksgiving's an interesting thing here in America because it's one day, it's one meal, and it's tons of food, right? And we go crazy. And you mentioned that you would be on the floor, right? Under the table, in pain, hurting because your stomach was so full, right? Isn't that what you said?
Well, yeah. So I always think about where did my journey and my interest into the food world start? And I always think about being probably, I had to have been under the age of 16. So I want to say maybe I was 12, and it was after Thanksgiving dinner and I literally fell asleep underneath the table. And when I woke up, I it was like I had blacked out. I mean, obviously I didn't black out,
Yeah.
but it was like I was in such a food coma that I fell off the chair and fell asleep underneath the table. And I woke up thinking, why do we do that?
I know.
Why do we eat and then feel so tired? I mean, obviously, I had completely carb loaded. I everything was, meat, dairy, sugar laden, and I love carbs. I mean, I was like stuffing, stovetop stuffing to the max. And so without a doubt, I was in a food coma, but I just remember thinking, like, that's weird. Like, shouldn't food give you energy? And it was like really that early on where I was scratching my head going, that's a weird tradition. Why do we want to eat until we feel sick? Why we want to eat to feel good? We want to eat for energy and clarity and vibrancy. And, you know, that was with me way back then.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, why am I eating to black out on the floor?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I
Oh,
think that actually is a really good point. And, one of the ways to stay healthy through the holidays is to stay aware, to stay mindful and not black out, not sit down and be hypnotized by all the food, but to really go in with, intention and, maybe the intention of staying present, the intention of not just going into the routine, which is like, how much can I eat,
right.
over the course of the next 40 minutes?
Well, what is this notion of like it's a contest? I mean, I've been around people where it's like, look at how much I can eat. I'm still eating. It's like
Yeah.
these, it's kind of disgusting. I'm like, why are we going to that extreme? I mean, I love food. I love to celebrate. The holidays are a great time of year. I just think it's so much fun. But how do we do it? Wisely, like you're saying, enjoy these things. And the food combining might be a big reason why we're so exhausted, right? Because there's so many different options that the digestive system just goes, whoa, you know?
Right. Well, absolutely. And again, you mix the starches and the protein, but I think more than anything, it's like it's quantity, we
Mhm.
just like it's sort of this level of gluttony where people say like, if this is the day and I'm going to go all out. And then what happens is, you have a little bit of sugar or a lot of sugar, say in the form of, it starts with Halloween candy, and then, that sticks around, and all of a sudden you're having a couple candy bars here and there, and all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving, and then it's pies. And the more sugar you eat, the more you want it. It is super addictive, and it just makes you
Mhm.
want more and more and more. So I think that, it's not, it turns into not just being one day of celebration, it turns into being, 2 months. And
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
or yeah, I mean, well, so we're talking about like November to December. Yeah, it's like two full months.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's funny. I think a very good motivation for me, anyway, is when I walk into like Costco or Sam's and see that a bag of candy for Halloween is now like 25 or $30. And I'm like, nope, not doing that anymore. That's motivation. This stuff is way too expensive. So that's a motivation to say, I'm going
Are you the household that hands out pencils for
to.
Halloween?
Well, because we still have, well, my teenagers still want to go, trick or treating. I'm like, so we still pass out stuff, but no, I don't like the holiday at all.
Yeah, I know. It's tricky. It's one of those things that, yes, the kids want to go out. They
Mhm.
come home with a pillowcase full of candy, and they like to spread it out and look at it, and just they admire it. And it's just like it's hypnotizing, and they
Oh
just
yeah.
the look of seeing all those different colors, it's like it's giving them that dopamine hit just looking at it,
Oh,
right? And so it is a battle, to be sure.
it is. And it's a good marketing. I mean, they make those
Yeah.
things look very enticing.
Hmm.
And the other thing about eating like that, as we talk about the holidays, when you start shoving in the sugar, I notice this. Everybody gets sick. Everybody
Yeah.
starts getting sick. The colds start happening. I mean, it's instantaneous after Halloween. I've noticed, at least through my house and the kids over the years.
Absolutely. Yeah, because all that sugar, it's contributing to inflammation. It's messing up the gut microbiome. It lowers our immune defenses. So, yeah, it's no wonder that we go from Halloween to Thanksgiving to, Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's where, we're still celebrating, we're drinking more alcohol to then flu season,
Yeah.
right? It's like, well, hang on a second.
Oh yeah. It's really interesting. And obviously food can have, foodborne illness is a thing,
Well, that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's that. So maybe you can help right now just talk about as Thanksgiving is approaching. What are some like great healthy tips like for people that are really health conscious? Let's say you're somebody listening who you just want to stay as healthy as you can through the holidays, but you still want to enjoy it and have fun with your family and friends. Jules, what can we do in terms of like, how do you recommend we put food on that plate? Or, do you bring something to that party that you can eat? What kind of things do you recommend?
Well, I think if you can look at this, in the sort of the larger perspective, which is this is a season, there's going to be lots of opportunities for parties, for large dinners, large gatherings. You might have a Friendsgiving, you might have a Thanksgiving, then you go into holiday party season. So having maybe like a larger strategy, and then we can narrow it in maybe
Mm-hmm.
on some of those very specific dinners or occasions where you're actually, how do you tackle going to the in-laws house as an example when you're you're the oddball, quote unquote, the oddball who eats differently or maybe healthier than everybody else, because that's a whole thing in and of itself too. People tend to, they don't want to make a fuss, right?
Right.
So we can work our way to that. But I think the strategy for the season, if you will, is to one, manage your expectations of yourself. It's like it's very stressful. Time becomes it can be stressful, right? We have more demands on our time than normal, more invitations. It's also getting dark outside much earlier, so
I
it's like we
know.
kind of want a cocoon, but yet we're being invited culturally to go out and be more social. So, in some ways, it's like lowering the expectation and deciding for yourself what is the most important thing for you. So I always like to say, like, what is sacred to you? So for some people, that's going to be going and getting their workout. They want to make sure that they sweat every single day. And for another person, it might be as simple as focusing on hydration, making sure that they are hitting their hydration water goals every single day. And that can make a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for other people, it might be as simple as saying, I'm going to maintain um, a healthy breakfast. And when I say breakfast, it could be any time of the day, right? It could be, any time in the morning. It could be 7 a.m., it could be 11 a.m. if you're intermittent fasting. But that first meal of the day, if that's your commitment, for me, it's a green drink. I don't know if you're still
I was just,
drinking.
I was
Yeah.
just
Are you
gonna
still drinking
say,
green juices?
I do it. Well, I go in spurts, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so Jules has a great next level detox program, and she's really big on green juices, and they're really good. Like at first, if you're not used to like not having a lot of sweet, it might be kind of shocking, but I don't know. I learned to like crave that ginger lemony. The more you put in, the better, is
Yeah.
so good. But I was just going to say that I was picturing you with your green juice in the morning.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I also go through spurts as well, where I'm really in the routine of making a green juice and then I go to my blender. So when I say a green drink, it's either a green juice or a green smoothie most days. So that's a commitment that I have. And I have a good green smoothie recipe up on my blog called the Radiant Glow Green Smoothie. And it's very similar with lemon and ginger, a little pear, which is in season right now, and then lots of dark leafy greens. And so that's again, movement, a green drink, hydration, maybe just, a commitment to taking a walk. And if you have dogs, that's even easier. Or kids also, they need to get outside, they need to burn off energy, but a walk or after a after dinner as a routine, as a habit that maybe you do with your friends or your partner, your loved ones, your kids, the dogs, you get people out. And in fact, just not only is it good to help you digest your food, but um, you're helping you that move that food through your system, and
Right.
it's getting fresh air. And so, I think that's the main thing is like figure out what is the most important thing for you over the course of the season, and then give yourself wiggle room to not, you know, you don't need to put extra pressure on yourself this time of year.
Right. Well, maybe we can touch now on the celebration of it all. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a time to celebrate. And I always kind of, again, I sometimes I get a little funny in my head, but I'll be like, why do we only celebrate like this, like once a year? Why do we give ourselves permission to enjoy life with everyone else around us once a season, or literally just this season in America, it seems like? To me, where is this celebration all the time? Like, and I don't mean
Yeah.
like throwing massive, food festival or anything like that. I mean just this inner like joy for life that, and maybe we can talk about that. It's you're kind of cultivating this love inside, this laughter, this joy that you're carrying with you. And for some reason we do it during the holidays, but and then we kind of drop off the, the face of the earth with it the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's like November is for gratitude. It's like, well, right. Why aren't we practicing gratitude in June?
I know. Exactly. It's like, well, Valentine's Day is when you honor the love of your life. I'm like, where's my love letter every morning?
Just a little one.
Just a note, just a post-it.
A little one. But no, yeah, I think you bring up a good point is, this is a very celebratory time. And, maybe that's the intention also is, how do you bring that mindset into, the whole year,
Right. And
every day.
is there evidence that if I'm eating this joyous meal with my friends and family and I have a lightness to it, I'm not holding on, I'm not judging what's going in my mouth, and we can talk about this in a minute. But is there some, evidence that that actually helps me digest my food? I feel free. When I feel freedom of thought and mind, does that equate in the body?
I think so. And I think that, I would encourage listeners to do an experiment for themselves. You
Mm,
know, if everything is energy, which, you know,
yeah.
quantum physics is, quantum physicists, agree that everything is energy at some level, and that when you're feeling a certain way, you're thinking a certain way, and when you're thinking and feeling a certain way, your body behaves a certain way, right? So if you are flooded with hormones of stress, what does cortisol do to your digestive system?
Hmm.
It's like there's an inflammatory response there. There's a slowing down. When we get stressed, we narrow our focus, as opposed to when we're feeling grateful and joy and relief and freedom and all the warm fuzzy feelings that you have when you're surrounded by loved ones, and the environment is cozy. Then yeah, you're not flooded with those hormones of stress.
Right.
Right. So I do think that, oftentimes we eat not just because we want to celebrate, we eat because we're stressed. We
Yeah.
eat because we're anxious. And the way that you consume a meal and the environment of your physical body and the way that it goes into your body, I think has an effect on how that food is received and digested and assimilated.
Yeah, and I think the blue zones are a good example of that because they, I know, really talk about, these are people, for those of you listening, that I know I've talked about this before, but these are the communities around the world that live to be in their hundreds, right? There's a lot of people in the community that are centenarians, and they're looking at, well, why is that? And, here in, the West, we'd be like, well, they must be exercising like crazy all day long, and they must, and they're not
Yeah.
doing any of that. But they
Right.
have a real strong sense of community. They eat together, they celebrate this joy regularly. And I think that's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like as much as exercise is so wonderful for us, and I think it really helps, keep your sanity rather than anything. It's
Mhm.
like, is that it's too much a problem, is too much a problem. That's kind of, I've always wonder that because people that exercise constantly, they're always hurt. There's
Yeah.
always an
Well, that,
injury.
right, that, and I know especially for middle-aged women, we're flooded with cortisol, we're flooded with that stress hormone, those stress hormones, and intense exercise, like, Orange Theory or, CrossFit or things like this, they just add,
Hmm.
they add to that stress response in the body. So, as much as people want to say burn through their monkey minds and the stress and the anxiety, something a little bit more calming like a hike in nature
Hmm.
or a yin yoga class,
Oh
you
my
know
God, love yin.
yeah, just putting your legs up the wall and just, taking some deep breaths. It's not, you know, it's oftentimes when you're flooded with those hormones of stress, I think that you're not necessarily, you don't think that that's going to do the thing for you. You don't think that that's
Hmm.
going to like actually really solve your problem,
Yeah,
but you have to try it and like really lean into it
right.
to be sure.
Well,
Yeah.
part of the problem too is, and the holidays bring up this stress, right? Because no matter if you guys buy gifts and you got a lot of people to buy for, that is like the most stressful thing in the world, right?
Yes.
Then you're wrapping them all, you're up all night. And most of us that if you're having kids, it's like you spend your entire every night, like 3 or 4 days before Christmas, you're up to like 2 in the morning getting this crap taken care of. It's
Yeah.
exhausting, you
Yeah.
know?
Spending your life savings while
I
you're at
know.
it.
Well, that's a whole nother show, right? Don't have kids, you'll have no money.
Yeah, right.
No. But the stress that's happening during the holidays, and you just mentioned like doing a yin yoga class or doing something more gentle, it's so hard for a lot of like, especially type A mindsets to wrap their head around how that could be beneficial or more beneficial than the go, 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 person, the go, go, go exercise. So, Jules is also a yoga teacher. So, what are some ways people can just incorporate, like, where do you go for your yoga? Do you go to studios still or you do it at home?
Oh, I do a little bit of both. So yeah, so I actually teach a class at the Yoga Pod in Boulder. I'm still teaching hot yoga. I was thinking
Wow.
about you because I do it
I
at
know.
home too, and I go through the same series at home just without the heated environment. And sometimes, that feel well, not sometimes. It feels just as good to roll out the yoga mat upstairs
Uh-huh.
and just go through maybe 30 minutes of stretching.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, so I'll go to a studio, I'll do it at home, I'll do Pilates. But I think more than anything, I go for walks. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like it's really my happy place is to go for a walk. And then it starts to get cold outside.
Oh,
And
I
then I have to
know.
be like, okay, I have to, bundle up. Actually, we were talking about being cold before the show started. Have you used one of these electric vests before?
No, but I want to know more. So tell me.
Oh, well, this was the gift that we got last year. We were talking about buying our friends and family heating pads. We bought my parents electric vest, so that they actually just sit in their house and they wear their electric vest.
They have their like
But
gadget on.
it's like it's dressing for the elements, and you always once you get outside and move around, I find that like it feels really good once you're out there, you
Yeah.
bundle up, you wear the right clothes, and then you go out there for any amount of time. You're always glad that you did,
So explain to
cold or
me.
not.
Let me get into this a little more. The electric vest, like what is this? Like what's happening? Are we being like electric? Is there like shock treatment? What is it?
It's a heated vest.
Oh, it's just
It
heated.
has a battery pack in it. And I think the battery, I'm pretty sure it's something that you plug in and you recharge,
Yeah.
so then yeah, it's got just a heater inside the vest.
Oh, so this is perfect when it gets cold. I went out for a walk this morning. It was 30 degrees. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoops, I got to get a different coat.
Yep, exactly.
But the electric vest, you're telling me I can
Heated
put that
vest.
on? That's
Yep.
so, do you sweat
Yeah,
with
I
it?
haven't used one. I need to get one.
Oh, you don't
I got
have
it for
one.
my parents.
Oh,
No, but what
Santa's
I did
coming.
get last year was the, insulated jogger pants. That is key. So
Oh,
again,
yeah.
we're talking about staying healthy for the holidays, and I think that's just one of the things. A lot of your listeners, it's going to be cold outside.
Yeah.
And there's aversion. We don't want to be uncomfortable, right? So
No.
dress appropriately, dress in layers, get the right gear, and then, you know, kind of force
Oh,
yourself to get out there. You're always better. You always feel better once you do.
100%. And I don't know about you, but I can bundle up and go walking and I'm sweating
Yeah.
underneath. Like I get home and I'm drenched. I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a pig. You know? But it's like, it's cold out and it feels good. It's like, oh, even in the cold. And for those of you that live in the snow, one of the best things I think to incorporate is my husband and I sometimes on Thanksgiving, like he always does this every Thanksgiving, he goes for some huge run. I'm like, no, I'm going to walk or like hike behind you or later.
Hmm.
But trekking through the snow on a snow hike is such an amazing feeling. And it's like, it's such a hard thing, but it's also like you're outside. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have snow pants on, you have a full
Yes.
on, snow jacket on. Yeah, that I can relate to dripping sweat and you're taking layers off and you're like, what? It's 25
Yeah.
degrees and I'm in a tank top,
Right.
right? Because
So,
you are climbing up a mountain.
yeah. So like if you're in the middle of like the holiday season, you're going to all these like festive events, there's tons of food and but you still want to stay active, like get the snow gear on and go work hard for an hour.
Yeah,
It does make you feel better for sure.
it does. It
Yeah.
does. And there's anyone who has that if you eat generally healthy and then all of a sudden you're eating more sugar, maybe more refined sugar, more carbs, there is a time and place for all of that, especially this time of year. Like, pick your indulgences, but just know that you're helping your body process that. You're helping your blood sugar, you're helping your body find homeostasis. You're like churning through those foods as you exercise, so it's actually something that really interesting. Whenever I indulge
Yeah.
that way, the next day I will sweat. The next day
Mm.
I will have a funky smell
Oh
that I don't
yeah.
typically have. So it's again, it's just something to sort of pay attention to that like
Right.
food does have that effect. And, you know, yeah, work it out of your system, not to like, quote, burn off the calories, but just to help your body process it. So this is getting away from the diet mentality, which is like,
Hmm.
oh, I ate that, therefore I must exercise it off. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. This is like, just embody the intention of the season, which is to eat joyfully, to enjoy it, to have fun,
Yeah.
and to nourish yourself and really just to take care of yourself and just say, yeah, by going for a walk or, going to a yoga class or, doing something where I'm sweating, I'm actually just assisting my body to process all that extra that I've taken in. It's a
Yeah.
different mentality.
Totally different mentality. And then it's not so obsessive, right, in your mind. Like thinking, maybe we could talk about this for a second, is the mind's ability to make you feel terrible about, especially if you're trying to live healthier. And then you say, oh, I'm going to have this, piece of chocolate cake, which, I'm definitely having because I love chocolate. And I am at a person right now, I'm at a point in my life where I eat dark chocolate. I'm not joking you every day. I have a piece of it all the time and I don't care. Like I
Yeah.
just love it so much. And I'll never forget, I was at this I was at like a local gift store one day and this lady had dark chocolate sitting out on the counter. And I was like, oh, can I have one of these or something? She's like, oh yeah, they're for you. And I take one. I'm like, I indulge in this every day. And she goes, every day? I'm like, yeah, every day.
Every day.
Like
Every
I
day.
was just so, yeah, that's one of the things I love. And I don't feel badly about it like at all. It makes me feel happy. But if
Well,
I,
and
yeah,
there's a lot of benefits to dark chocolate, right? It's full of antioxidants, and we're not talking about a Hershey bar.
no, I'm not.
We're
Yeah.
not talking about chocolate that has other processed oils or artificial sugar or artificial dyes, that sort of things. A lot of them have high fructose corn syrup in them. We're talking about something that's 70% or higher raw cacao. And the
Right.
higher the cacao, the lower the sugar. So
Yep.
then you're getting antioxidants, you're getting minerals. It's actually an aphrodisiac. It's like it's something, it's a real pick me up. I think there's real
Oh,
benefit to dark chocolate.
oh my
So
God.
I'm with you.
Have you ever, like, I have in the past taken too much cacao? Like, for instance, every now and then I want to throw in some cacao nibs into a smoothie or even just some cocoa powder, like raw cocoa powder into a smoothie, like maybe a berries and a banana and I like it to taste like chocolate. I'm not one of these
Yeah.
just a faint, like, don't mess around. It's got to taste like chocolate.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if you get too much, I'm very sensitive to caffeine, so I can't drink it. But oh my God, it's like I think I just took some crack. I mean, for those of you that are looking for pick-me-ups and aren't so sensitive, I mean, it is a natural energizer. You can get a lot of energy from cacao.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have no issues with caffeine or chocolate. I
Oh,
can
you're
have it
lucky.
all day long, all the time.
Can you? Oh,
But I think
jealous.
caffeine, like alcohol, it's worth noting, that this time of year these are the things that we tend to indulge in a little extra, right? I know
Yeah.
when I'm with my mom and my sister, it's like that extra cup of coffee just sounds so good because we're
Yes.
still talking and we just want to be cozied up and, talk
Yeah.
some more. And so, like alcohol, it's good to balance your caffeine with a glass of water,
Right.
right? So going
Yeah.
back to the first thing that I mentioned, which is to make sure that you stay hydrated. And also, if you're having things like caffeine and alcohol, know that they are dehydrating. So you want to drink even extra water, right? So it's
Hmm.
like taking that glass of wine or a cup of coffee and then having a glass of water after,
Yeah.
and that will help to replenish your stores.
And what about like eating just really hydrating food as well to make,
Yeah,
replenish fresh
absolutely.
berries, things with lots of water. There's
Yeah.
no,
Well, I think that's a really good point. There's a saying that's drink your veggies, eat your water. Drink your
yeah.
veggies would be like a green juice where you're actually extracting all the fiber and you're just getting the liquid. And if you run a head of romaine lettuce through a juicer, you realize like how much water is actually in there. And a head of
Oh,
celery, it's a lot of water.
a lot.
Cucumber, very juicy. Then you put your dark leafy greens in there. And then to eat your water is just what you said. Think about juicy vegetables and fruits that have high water content. So,
Oh,
things like
oh
watermelon,
my gosh.
obviously tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, and then you can still, this time of year, I think people want more cooked foods and you can still cook your veggies. You can,
Yeah.
steam or saute and put those over a green leafy salad. So it takes like maybe a cold water rich containing salad, but then put something warm on top of it to make it a
Hmm.
little bit more earthy and grounding for this time of year
Right.
is a good way to, again, still get the dark leafy greens in, to eat your water, but also have something that's warm and nourishing,
Right. And it's like a huge broom for your digestive tract, right? I mean, then
right?
you're working to eliminate everything that you're putting in during this time of year,
Yep,
which
that's
is
right.
huge. It needs to come out,
It
right?
does. It needs
Yeah.
to come out. And yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to making sure that you stay hydrated and that you move your body and make sure that one of the best indicators is how much are you eliminating,
Right.
and so that's like, are you having, healthy, like, some people will say 10 P's a day. I don't know. That might be a lot for some people. But you want to have a healthy bowel movement at least every
Yeah.
day and make sure that that stays consistent as well.
Oh, yeah. I was just listening to some doctor on the podcast, and she was saying, yeah, you should be definitely having at least 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. And I was like, well, that's refreshing as somebody in the medical community saying that.
That is,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's something that most people are like, what? You know?
How's that possible?
Yeah. And most people
Yeah.
there's people that don't go every day, and it's
Right.
like, it's just, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
once
so
would be a
important.
bare minimum. Once a
Yeah.
day would be bare minimum. And if you're not going once a day, look at your food, look
Hmm.
at what might be congesting, breads, pasta, meat,
Hmm.
dairy. Most of
Dry
us would
food. Yeah.
dry. It's just right. It's all
Yeah.
dry and it's very congesting. It's
Yeah.
constipating.
Well, I
Yeah.
like talking like that and keeping it really simple because, as you know, being in the nutrition world, it's like, oh my God, all the little tiny things in every piece of food they're focused on when it really is like, well, is the food full of enough water to break down easily enough for it to go through my system efficiently?
Yeah.
Because when I'm just shoving in boxed, dry, crunchy food, right,
Right.
that's hard on the system.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you wonder why when you're eating like a bunch of pretzels or popcorn, you're just slugging the water
Right,
because you're
right.
so thirsty. Your body's going, I need water here.
Yeah, so more junk food, also more meat,
Yeah.
like people who eat a lot of meat, I find are even extra thirsty.
Yeah.
And that's because it's dry
It's
and it's
dry.
hard for your body to process it all. And, I don't have any opinion about like whether you eat meat or not. Some people who eat beans and a lot of grains, they have a similar issue. It's
Yep.
too hard on their digestive system,
Yeah.
right? So it's all about finding the food that works best for you. And how do you know how a food, if a food works best for you? Well, you have to pay attention to your body. You have to
Hmm.
listen. And if you're constipated or you feel like you want to fall asleep after you eat, like I did after Thanksgiving dinner, or if your skin's breaking out, or if you have dark circle under your eyes, or you don't feel like you can make it through a day without, some sort of a pick me up, then that might be an indicator that what you're eating is actually pulling energy from you
Right.
as opposed to giving you energy.
Hmm.
Right. And so you can make little, you don't have to make huge sweeping changes to move the needle and to feel better.
Yeah.
Little
So,
adjustments can make a big
yeah.
difference.
Well, you're saying something that is bringing me to this conversation about fasting because you said giving you vibrance, right? And
Hmm.
giving you energy. So I myself, and I know Jules has done a lot of fasting over the years, but the things that I've discovered, and you can share your personal experience with this, but the more you clean out your body, okay, and the more you start, getting to like cleaner foods or I've discovered that when I bring back other foods, I notice instantly, like it's an instant hit. The body goes, uh-oh, like I don't like that. As opposed to when you're eating it all the time, you don't notice it as much. And what else you said too is you get tired. Well, every now and then, if I have a meal that's heavier and it's got a lot of extra fats and stuff, I get this weird, like I'm exhausted in the head just
Mm,
immediately. And I
mm,
know it's food I just ate and it happens pretty quickly afterwards. And
right.
yeah, so then I know, okay, that was a little too much. And then you
Yeah.
just take note of it and say, well, maybe I should avoid that combination every day,
Yeah.
every
Well,
now
I
and then,
think that
whatever.
I think the number that's always cited is that 80% of your body's energy, your internal processes, 80% of that energy goes to digestion when
Hmm.
you eat, say, a standard American meal. And I'm always like thinking, well, how can I eat in a way that maybe only 70 or 60% of my energy goes to digestion? Like, can I eat in a way that frees up some of that energy so that it doesn't drain from my brain?
Yeah, right. Because that's what you need it
Right?
for. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and when you eat, I've found this when I eat less, because for the last few years, have really done a lot of intermittent fasting where I have now become accustomed to really not eating until around noon.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when I was younger, I mean, I had to have food immediately in the morning. That was just, and most people do, like I was starving. And what is it when you eat a heavy meal? Like let's say you eat a Thanksgiving meal and it's so much food, and then you wake up starving.
Right.
That is so bizarre to me that I would
Yeah.
do that. I would wake up hungry.
Right.
But when you're practicing intermittent fasting, which is saying, okay, like after 8 o'clock or whatever at night, I'm not going to put any more food into the system. And I'm going to,
Mm.
whenever I start to actually feel hungry, then
Yeah.
I'm going to eat. I'll just listen to when that is instead of this programming or conditioning. Oh, I must eat breakfast to be a healthy person. I mean, that's a thing, right? You
Yep.
hear that out there. I have
Yeah, you
found the
hear.
opposite. I feel more energized without so much food.
Yes, yes. And I would generally agree with that. And everybody's different,
Yeah.
right? So again, it kind of goes back to where someone is in terms of their blood sugar.
Yeah.
Is their body working overtime to balance blood sugar and to maintain a homeostasis? Like when you eat so much, it sends your blood sugar completely out of whack. And so
Mhm.
what you're doing is you're switching on hormones, and those hormones are signaling, to the body that say, feed me,
Yeah.
I need balance, feed me. And
Right.
so, when we fast, what we know is that you are signaling the satiety hormones. So when you actually are not eating, isn't this interesting? When you don't eat, your body produces chemicals that say, actually you're satiated, you're satisfied, you don't need that.
Mm,
There's a hormone for that, and
yeah.
it gets turned on when we don't eat.
Interesting.
So I mean that's kind of fascinating. I mean,
It
so
is.
again, not everybody can go from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. the next day. I always call it flexible fasting.
Yeah.
you know More than anything, I think it's good to stop eating earlier in the evening.
Yeah.
Most people have a habit of eating after dinner. This is when
Oh,
they
yeah.
go to the popcorn and the potato chips and the cheese and the sweets. And it's like,
Yeah.
just make it a deal that, like, after 8 p.m., the kitchen's closed.
I know. I
Unless
said,
you're
get out of the
drinking
kitchen.
water or tea, like, have some herbal tea. But then, if you just cut yourself off after 8 p.m. and you give yourself until 8 a.m. the next day, 12 hours
Hmm.
of not having any food in the system is a really good place to start.
It
And then
is.
you can extend that and you can play with it a little bit and see, what happens if I go till 9?
Right.
And then do that for a few weeks and see how you feel. There's a lot of really good benefits to just resting the digestive system in that way.
Yeah. And for anybody listening during the holidays, I mean, you might, if you're used to, and I'm not suggesting you just go from, the standard American diet to suddenly fasting, because that can be a total nightmare. There is an art to it, and there's a process, and the body, you definitely wouldn't want to swing it into too much detox too quickly. But I'm planning in the holiday to enjoy my holiday, but because I am used to doing intermittent fasting, the holidays aren't that overwhelming to me, because what I notice then is when I start eating too much, I feel it immediately. Like my system is like, okay, stop. And I don't
Yeah.
like to feel bad anymore. I'm just at that point where I'm not going to go there. So maybe you can touch on real quick, like, how do you overpower your mind? Because I think a lot of people want to say, oh, my body's craving it. But I'm like, no, my body is full. My mind's going nuts saying, I want more of that cake.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was thinking about this yesterday. I've always, really leaned into the word that, like, I want to help people feel good. And I think there's something slippery about wanting, first of all, but then
Yeah.
wanting to feel good.
Yeah.
Because, like back in the day, I drank Mountain Dew by the liter. I lived in college. I lived right next door to the quick shop or whatever it was. And we just drank Mountain Dew out of the tap like all day long.
Yeah.
And a pack of cigarettes, right? So,
Hmm.
like, I would feel good having those things, right?
Yeah.
So that felt good to me, but that
Yeah.
wasn't good for me, right? So, like,
Right.
there's, people will think like, well, yeah, I feel good when I have a glass of wine, or I
Yeah.
feel even better when
That's
I have
me.
two or three.
Now I feel amazing.
Wow, I feel amazing. Right? So it's this like really thinking like, is it good that we're after, or do we want to feel well, or do we want to feel like healthy? Right. And so I forgot what your question was, but I was going to dovetail into it. I think it was about it was about the
What
holidays.
it was. What did I ask you? Like, oh, the mind, like how the mind, is it the mind that's craving or is it the body? And I'm convinced it's up in the head.
Right.
I'm not sure the body needs too much. It's like all in the head. Just
Well,
give
right.
me, you get an image. Like my mom and I talk about this a lot. She'll be like, I get like a thought about getting some chips, if they're in the pantry, or a piece of a cookie. And she's like, I cannot stop thinking about it until I go eat
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah. So
obsession.
yeah, right. So whether the thought creates the feeling or the
Hmm.
feeling creates the thought, I think it's a chicken or an egg thing, like
Yeah.
depending on who you talk to.
Right.
But what she's doing and what you're talking about is just becoming aware. And
Yeah.
it's not just becoming aware, it's like huge. It's shining a light. Is it because sometimes people can feel sad or lonely or bored or depressed or hungry for something. And they're not
Hmm.
actually hungry for chips, they're hungry for fulfillment. They're
Yeah.
hungry for purpose. They're
Hmm.
hungry for inspiration. And
Yeah.
yet their body says, I'm hungry. And so their mind is like, well, chips.
The saltier and crunchier, the better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So that will fulfill a need, a craving, a hunger for something. But if you start to look at it and go, well, actually, wait, what am I actually hungry for? What am I actually craving? That's a simple question to help you bring more awareness. And I think
Totally.
that's what we're talking about here. And just healthy indulgence in the holidays starts with that. Just having the intention that you're going to stay aware and
Yeah.
become more aware around food and notice where you go on autopilot.
Oh,
So many
yeah.
people, I think on holidays, we go on autopilot. So you're like, well, this is what we have. We
Yeah.
have brie, we have this appetizer, and
Yeah.
I eat it until I'm sick.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very traditional thing for a lot of people too. Like I know my own father, he's always like, I swear to God, he's going back to when he was a child and talking about all the food that they ate when they were kids. And I'm like, wow, that's like, I'm like the anti-traditional person. So I'm always the one that's like, what can we do differently this year? Let's bring something new to the table, like
Yeah.
let's spice it up. So
Well, and so, I think that's who you are through and through, Lindsay. And I think a lot of people, they don't want to be the oddball at their
yeah.
in-laws or with their family. And so, some people get into a healthier lifestyle or a more clean eating lifestyle because they have to. And now
Mhm.
all of a sudden they have to be gluten-free
Yeah.
because that's what they're doctor has told them that you
Right.
need to try this elimination diet and you need to eliminate, gluten or
Yeah.
dairy or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and so how do you go into a travel situation or where you're a guest at a house, at a friend's house or the in-laws? I always say, like, one, own it. Like, do not go in there and say, like, just, so many people will just be like, oh, I'll just eat whatever they're having because I don't want to rock the boat and I don't want the
Uh-huh.
focus to be on me. It's like, well, is that really being kind to yourself? Like, I don't think so. So, how do you be
No.
kind to yourself? One, you can talk to the host ahead of time and just say, hey, I don't want to make a big deal about this, but I am not eating, let's just say gluten. I'm not eating gluten anymore. Is it okay if I bring
Hmm.
something? Right. And so you're clearing it sort of with the host ahead of time and letting them know, like, this isn't a big deal. I can take care of myself. And I'd also like to contribute. And
Right.
in that process of contributing, you get to make something that, I always used to think of it like, if this is the only thing that I get to eat and there's nothing else on the table, I'm going to be psyched. And I'm also going to bring a dessert. So I'm going to bring this like gorgeous, kale salad with roasted Brussels sprouts and my homemade maple syrup dressing.
Yes.
And then I'm going to bring this awesome dessert. And if I don't have anything else, I'm okay with it because I have my two favorite things that I'm
Yeah.
bringing.
And I bet you money, everyone else loved it.
Well, and that's what happens,
Yeah.
So sometimes you might be sort of the black sheep or you feel like you're the oddball going into a family and they're just not there yet. And I
No.
say yet because I've seen my whole family transform
Wow.
over the course of 15 years. Not completely, they're
Yeah.
not like gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan by any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination, but they have a lot more awareness on how food makes them feel and they want to eat healthier as a
Yeah.
result.
That's
So,
awesome. Well, it is interesting too. If you just too bring something that because you just know you can eat it, it's
mhm.
amazing how many people will be like, wow, this is really amazing. What's in it? And you'll be like, oh, you don't even want to know what's in
You
there.
don't want to know.
You'll be surprised that it's very simple.
It's
There's very,
cauliflower.
oh, one thing that anybody that loves mashed potatoes out there, I mean, I'm a mashed potato gal. I don't eat them all the time, but if you do, have you ever had they call them cauli pots? There's a recipe where you steam cauliflower and put it in the mashed potatoes. So you blend it up so it's a little lighter. Really
Oh,
good.
well, yeah, there's cauliflower mashers.
Yeah.
But you know what I love, Lindsay, and this is something my whole family loves, is parsnips, mashed
Really?
parsnips.
I've
Yeah,
never
so
even
I
done.
can't tolerate cauliflower very well. Like, me and cauliflower just don't get
Yeah.
along very well. But parsnips, you can just take parsnips, give them a rough peel, chop them up, steam them in water, and
Uh-huh.
then you put that into the food processor with your butter or,
Yeah.
your butter of choice. I use a grass-fed butter and it's
Yeah.
delicious. But
Yeah.
if you have a vegan butter that like, you can do that. My husband then will make a gravy to put on top of it,
Mm.
but it's sweet. Parsnips are sweet and very earthy at the same time. It is delicious. I mean, you
Really,
have to put salt and pepper too.
I think I'm going to add this to the Thanksgiving table this year. I've
Yes,
never even eaten them like that. And so now I'm curious to go try it.
yeah, I'll
Anybody
send
else
you a
out there?
recipe.
Yeah. let's link it in the show notes because it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
So what other things before we sign off today, Jules, can people think about, like when you're at a party? Let's do the party scenario. How do you maneuver through all the drinking, all the, all of it? Like if you just, can you come with a full stomach? Is that an option?
Well, I think that is a winning strategy, especially when, I think some of the worst, I feel that most terrible when you go to a party and it's not actually a meal. It's more like appetizers, and then you end up eating all these random things. You don't necessarily eat enough to be full, but you kind of like have had enough. And then you're drinking on top of it. I think it's just a recipe for disaster. So depending on what kind of party you're going to, know ahead of time, ask ahead of time what's going to be served. And if it's food that is a proper meal, I always like to tell people start with a big dark leafy green salad, and that is just one of those things. And even if you're going to say you're going to a party where you think it's just appetizers and you're going to want to enjoy some of those appetizers, have a meal ahead of time. Right. So I know a lot of people will talk about make sure you eat protein this time of year. It helps keep you full. There is something to that. I don't even recommend people, strive for, the high ends of protein goals. If that works for you, that's great. But one of the things that people are mostly not eating, and there is no big marketing campaign or loud social media presence, is dark leafy greens. Maybe I need to start this. Protein has its place, but like dark leafy greens is one of the most I think it's one of the things that Americans specifically are not eating nearly enough of. So a big green salad before the party, or at least before the meal, if that's, generally if you are having a dinner, there's going to be a salad, served. So I think that's one of the most important things. And then it's picking your indulgences, picking, like, if there's something that you're just like, I got to have those mashed potatoes, then, you have the mashed potatoes and you leave the guilt at the door, right? You make a plan ahead of time, and guilt and shame doesn't have a place because you have a plan going into it. Yeah. Right. And you know how to recover the next day. Exactly. Right? That's another part of it too, is like, I'm going to have the chocolate cake, and I know that I'm not going to have chocolate cake tomorrow. Right. Well, right. And full well, like, I don't know about you, but I've become, the body communicates very loudly. Mm-hmm. And when you hear it, it's like, to me, I know now if I want to indulge for a nice dinner out or something, I know that, either that day I'm just having a very light meal throughout the day, or I'm grazing on things that are really easy to digest. So I can go, I'll have that thing and I'll feel fine, And then the next day I know how to clean it up, You know how to clean up. I think there's again a distinction between, there's, I think, an old diet mentality that would say they would restrict all day and not eat anything because they're going to go have this big meal. And I know that's not what you're talking about, but I just want to say that for the listener, it's like, what you're having is you're having whole foods, you're having fruits and vegetables that are easy to digest. Mm-hmm. And so you have fiber, you have healthy fats, you have protein, you have some carbs, and then you're not going into this big dinner or party starving. Going in starving is a recipe for disaster also. Oh, 100%. Right? You're going to go off the rails. That's right. You're going to want everything in sight. Well, I think this might be a good place to just stop for today. And I would love to tell everybody you're coming back next week. We're going to do a show on midlife crisis or midlife mayhem to sort of pony off of the holiday mayhem. So please stick around. Jules, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope everybody can benefit from all the tips throughout this holiday season. Thanks, Lindsay. Happy holidays, everyone. That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at livelikeeden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.